What's up, everybody? Welcome into Group Chat Football Live. I'm Peter Ariz alongside D Money, and this is our daily national college football show, talking the biggest news in the sport from recruiting to coaching moves, transfer movement. Spring football is here, obviously, so we want to talk about the best newcomers, the top performers across the country. And today, we will start with one of the most highly touted freshmen in the country, DJ Pickett at LSU, was a huge recruit out of the state of Florida. Oregon was in the mix. Miami was in the mix, had family ties there. But at the end of the day, LSU wins that recruitment. At the time was a bit of a surprise when he committed there, stayed committed all the way through, and looks like he's making an early impact.
Yeah, this is a guy who was a 5-star plus according to On3, right? And quoting from Mansour Delane, the Virginia Tech transfer, he says whatever that 5-star plus is, that's true. Pickett is as good as advertised. So I think the thing with Pickett that you got to keep in mind, you look at just the reason he was a 5-star plus, right? Coming out of high school in the Tampa area, 6'4", 180, 33.6-inch arms, 10.62, 100 meters, 4 picks, also played wide receiver, 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns as a junior. So the athleticism, you knew about it going in, just watching his high school film, looking at his track time, seeing his size. Most of the people in his family are linemen. He's really the only one that's not a lineman. His cousin, he has a defensive end cousin who's at University of Miami. Cannon Pickett, his other cousin, big physical offensive lineman between Clemson and Miami right now. Maybe some other schools get involved there. All these guys are 4-star type talents, along with the 5-star plus DJ Pickett. So good bloodlines. But with him, you knew the size was legit. You know the speed was legit. Where does he fit? Is he a safety? Is he a corner? But as you see him here working these drills with Coach Raymond, he has shown that he is a corner and has, in fact, made interceptions during team drills that have caught people's eye. We'll see one of them here in a second on the video. But the fact that the physical skills have translated to a position so early really makes you feel good about DJ Pickett sticking at corner because, if he was awkward at first, that'd be understandable. I think that's what most people expected. And they say, okay, well, he'll learn it. So the fact that he's already kind of ahead of schedule, what's going to happen? He's getting stronger. He's going to keep getting more technically sound, and you're going to have a 6'4", maybe even 6'5" when it's all said and done, 4'3" corner, like a Tarek Woolen for the Seattle Seahawks. I can't even think of too many comps for what he's going to bring to the table, but it's going to be unique. And we just saw
the ball skills as well, because we're talking about what position was he going to play. He could have played wide receiver as well. And I think you've talked about it before. I think you might have liked him a receiver at a certain point, but obviously with the upside, with that length at corner, and you mentioned not too many guys can move at that size the way that he can. You pair that with the ball skills. Like if he can tighten up on all the little things of the position, as we're already seeing Coach Raymond obviously work with him on that. And to me, going back to kind of the original thing that we talked about here, it's a Mansour Delane who has been around college football, obviously played at Virginia Tech, was a top guy in the portal. And when you see those veterans talk about the young guys like that, it makes you kind of look a little bit closer at it, because these vets don't always like to hype the young guys up too early. So he must be, doing what he's got to do early on and progressing because it's LSU again. It's a different standard when it comes to that position.
Yeah, you look at Derek Stingley, highest paid corner in NFL history. Where'd he go to school, right? He was covering the highest paid receiver in NFL history. So pretty good practices out there. But with Pickett, he wanted to go to LSU, which people was a surprise. A lot of people thought it was, like you said, Pete, Oregon versus Miami. So when he first came into LSU, that was a bit of a surprise. And then many people expected him to flip before signing day, ended up staying with LSU the whole time. So he wanted to go somewhere where he felt he could be developed. He trusted Coach Raymond to develop him as a corner. So again, you see the early flashes. The tools are beyond question. Now it's time for both him to put in the work on just fine-tuning his technique, getting stronger, not without getting too heavy, and then listening to what his coach has to say, and his coach developing him, Corey Raymond's developed some of the best across the country. So we'll see how that progresses. But I think cornerback. That was really, like you mentioned, some people thought he was a receiver. I actually thought he was a corner always. But, some of our friends on the 7-on-7 circuit thought he might have been a receiver long-term. There was some talk about safety. If you can get a guy with this kind of length with those 33-inch arms and then 4.3 speed, and he can learn the technique needed to play corner, plus the ball skills, which you talked about, Pete, that is hard to beat, right? There's no substitute for length and speed at that position. And this guy's got more of that than any corner in the country last year. And he is showing it on the practice field for the LSU Tigers. We could see him in 2025 making an impact in the SEC.
And look, we saw Derek Stingley. You mentioned him, the impact that he had as a true freshman on that national championship team. So we'll see. You obviously have that's high aspirations there. It's high, lofty goals, so to speak. But I think he's that sort of talent level. I really do.
Yeah, think about Jakeem Jackson, right? The transfer from Florida. He was always he's from the state of Florida, just like Pickett. He's from more the Orlando area, Pickett more from the Tampa area, but not that far apart. He was always known as kind of a size speed prospect, right? Played some receiver, 6'1", ran a 10.900 meter, and that was good size speed. Is good size speed. That's why he was a 4-star transfer going from Florida to LSU and someone they're excited about. 6'1", 10.9. Here we're talking about 6'4", 10.6. So just to give you an idea of what this size speed prospect is, it is unusual. I cannot think of a comp other than Tariq Woolen, who went from UTSA to the Seattle Seahawks as a sprinter running 4.3 at 6'4". That's the closest comp I can think. But Pickett's a little ahead of him as far as, Woolen was playing receiver for the first few years of his career. Whereas with Pickett, he's playing corner right off the bat. And I think the upside, you're talking about, top 10 pick if this thing all goes well, because it's just so rare to get these traits.
Without a doubt. LSU fans, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Have you guys covered all spring long with breakout newcomers, transfers, all that good stuff. And then, of course, the portal will be opening up here not too far from now. So we'll have you LSU fans covered all spring long and after that, of course. So keeping it moving here on Group Chat Football Live. Ohio State, defending national champs, want to continue to keep that talent stocked. And it was a big recruiting day for them in terms of visitors. Some of the names that were there: Sam Greer, Brett Kolajay, Jake Kruel, Jordan Thomas. And then I know we had one more as well. And that was Favor Aki.
Yep. So let's start with Sam Greer, Pete, because I know you love this guy. His game on the basketball court reminds you of yourself.
Yeah. If I was 6'7", but the pace is pretty similar, I gotta say.
6'7", 310, top 10 player in Ohio. Different rankings on different sites. Let's go with the composite, which has him as a number 188 player in the country. But this ability, athletic ability, is pretty unique at that size when you look on the basketball court. He is from Akron, Ohio. I don't know if he's going to be replacing LeBron James anytime soon on the basketball court, but this is a guy that can play and does have game. Of course, that translates to the position of tackle when you're 6'6" and a half, 310.
9 blocks in a game here.
Yeah, and you look at his quotes on Ohio State. He said, "Really enjoyed my time at OSU, visited for practice this week. The O-line has 4 different coaches helping with development and making sure you're the best version of yourself every day." There's a lot of schools in the mix: Missouri, Michigan, Florida, Miami, Wisconsin. But I think Ohio State's got a really leg up here, given this is an Akron, Ohio native. He says, "I just need to get down a few more times and build a great relationship with the new coaches." And this is high-level basketball too, man. I mean,
he's got some highlights here against St. Vincent St. Mary. Some other in another video here. But I'm gonna pull up some football stuff as well.
I like the basketball. Look at you see him play. He's covering on the perimeter there, and people might be watching and saying, "Why are you putting basketball highlights?" But look at him cover.
Yeah, look at that.
So that's, if you can keep up with a guard on the perimeter, you can keep up with a defensive end, right? That's just lateral foot quickness. That's coordination. I mean, this guy's not clumsy at all. Because not only did he keep up, he has the balance and ability to get off the ground quickly. This all translates very, very well to the offensive tackle position. And with the good development you have at Ohio State, I think there's some meat on the bone there. And this is just a super high upside player.
Yeah, here he is playing football. We could have shown a lot more basketball, but of course, he's being recruited to play football.
Road grader. A lot of, I think honestly, the football, when you watch the highlights, obviously you see the appeal, but I don't think what you're seeing here, because like right there, he's still kind of, I think, strength, even though that's a nice drive block. I think when you talk about Big Ten level strength.
But look at him get to the second level there. That's what
Yeah.
of that. That's what I'm interested in.
I think there's still meat on the bone when it comes from the football standpoint, just getting stronger, but the athleticism and the balance and the length, and I mean, again, so easy in motion. I think all these things are going to lead to him developing into a big time player.
Yeah, without a doubt. So keeping things moving, you want to stay on the offensive line here?
Yeah, sure. Let's stay on the offensive line with a much different type of player on the offensive line, with still a top prospect. That's Brett Koleje, big time interior offensive lineman, originally from Colorado at IMG Academy down there in Florida. He is you talk about Greer as your classic tackle. Koleje is your classic inside interior offensive lineman, big guard, physical, plays with Kenye Pepe, a top prospect in his own right next to him at IMG. Koleje is your mauler, right? You see him in these highlights. This is just a physical player. He went down to camp here, 5-on-5 camp, which was an offensive line based camp down here in South Florida, with some of the best in the country. And he was outstanding this past weekend before he made his way to Ohio State. So this guy's getting around. He's either playing football or he's visiting schools, but you see how he keeps square, drives his legs. He's just a really, really talented guard prospect. And he said, this is my first time visiting Ohio State. It blew me out of the water. This visit was fantastic. Some huge takeaways are how Coach Bowen is helping command that O-line room, and his coaching style is fantastic. Personable but serious coach. My mother also got to see everything and she loved it. This has by far exceeded my expectations. This school will play a major part in my recruitment. Miami's in the mix, Florida State, the three in-state schools. Again, he's originally from Colorado. Colorado's also on the list, but he's in Florida now. LSU, Tennessee, and then, of course, Ohio State. So a lot of contenders for Brett Koleje. I think he's being recruited higher than what his ranking is because of this kind of play. Just a true road grader. You can step into the Big Ten right away with some nastiness.
Well, and sometimes when we describe these interior offensive linemen at the high school level and you use the word road grader, it kind of takes away from maybe the athletic ability. Like, this guy's moving well too, right? He has the strength and he has the nasty, but you see him pulling and you see him getting out. I mean, you see him, he's got some pop. Obviously he's got the strength, but he's got quicks as well.
No doubt about it. And look, IMG, these guys are ready to play. You look at Jordan Seaton, goes to Colorado, true freshman All-America. You look at Francis Mawanoa, who went to Miami.
Look at that backdrop there.
Oh, beautiful. Look at Francis Mawanoa, went to Miami. He was a freshman All-America. Now he's probably on the verge of being a first-round pick. Seaton should be a first-round pick the following year. So these IMG offensive linemen, Tyler Booker, right, for Alabama, he looks like he's going to be somebody who's going to come right in and start at the next level after a very, very good career for the Crimson Tide. So these IMG offensive linemen, they're pretty good. They're pretty well coached. And if they got the talent, which Koleje has, they can play at any level, including the Big Ten, for the defending national champions.
We'll stay at IMG, flip over to the other side of the trenches there, and talk about Jake Cruel. Called him Drake there. Jake Cruel, pass rusher who, man, I mean, he's got a nice array of moves. Very, very productive at this level.
Yeah, he's somebody that I've seen at camp a bunch of times. He's dominant at a camp setting. I mean, beating all of the best tackles in the country. He played in the Under Armour game as an underclassman, was dominant in that game as well. I believe he had multiple sacks, certainly got to the quarterback multiple times, but he's really more outside linebacker size. That's what you got to work with him. Is he, maybe he grows into being like a Sam Hubbard type, Pete. I know you made that comp.
Hubbard was bigger,
but Hubbard was bigger, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't want to make the white guy comp.
I just said we were talking about him before the show because of Ohio State here, but Hubbard was taller than him. But pass rush wise, look at this off the edge.
Yeah, he's nonstop, a great motor, great lateral quickness as well. I'm sure he's going to test off the charts in the shuttle and things like that. Offers there. LSU, Georgia, Penn State, Florida State, Oklahoma, Oregon. Cruel said it was a great visit to Ohio State. I think this one was probably the best yet. I think Coach Patricia and Coach Washington were both great additions to the staff, and I made a very strong case for me. Coach Johnson really believes that with his help and development, and he's got a pretty good track record, that's me editorializing, I can be a freshman All-America, which is definitely a goal I would love to chase. I look forward to continuing our relationship and seeing where it goes. So there you go. I mean, Jake Cruel, somebody who I could easily see fitting in to Ohio State, probably more of like a package player, at least at first, where he's coming in on passing downs. But in that role, he can cause a lot of havoc. You got Bryce Underwood pretty close by there at Michigan. You want to get him to the ground. A guy like Jay Cruel can help you do that.
And then Jordan Thomas, cornerback out of Bergen Catholic powerhouse program in New Jersey. He was also on campus. I know he's been to Michigan as well. So let's pull up the tape for Jordan Thomas here.
Yeah, we talked about it on prior shows. Very polished player. You look at the schools after him: Texas A&M, Michigan, Auburn, Miami, USC, Alabama, Texas. And he's a big-time recruit. Number 17 corner in the class, according to On3. Very polished. That's the thing with him. Goes to a great school in Bergen Catholic, who's produced a ton of great players. I just think this is a guy who can come in to the Big Ten, play as a true freshman. Not overwhelming physical traits, but just good in every single kind of category. And he said about his visit to Ohio State, had an amazing time, felt really good to be back on campus, again, overall feel for the program, enjoyed spending time with Coach Ryan Day, Coach Walton, Coach Patricia. A big takeaway for me was hearing from the coaches what a top priority I am for them and how I will fit into their defensive scheme culture. It was also great to see how Coach Walton coaches and interacts with his athletes up close and personal. Look, again, like we said, you see on the clips, just a solid player. Sometimes these corners, you see him playing a million different positions and just being the best athlete on the field. And those guys many times do turn out to be outstanding corners because they're just naturally gifted and they learn the technique at the corner position. There's some other guys that they're just corners and they're taught well. They play at big programs. They have the traits and they come in ready-made at that particular position. And I think, Thomas fits in that category as a ready-made instant coffee type of cornerback.
And then the last guy we'll talk about here, running back Favor Aki, who we've spoken about before, a guy who has plenty of offers from Ohio and maybe not a finished product as a running back, but you see the physical traits when we pull up the tape here.
Yeah, Key previously crystal ball to Miami, but now with his Ohio State offer, I think Ohio State's going to start getting momentum here in this recruitment. 6 foot, 190. I bet that's probably out of date with the measurements. He seems bigger than that, stronger than that. I believe he will be a 200-pound plus back by the time he gets to Ohio State. Has speed, legit 10-9 type speed in the 100 meters, and he plays very fast. He breaks there. You see this breakaway speed. He breaks a lot of tackles. He's tough to bring down. He's just a strong player from Delaware, Ohio, Rutherford B. Hayes High School. So Ohio State, now they've kind of put the temperature up on him. I think they might pull away from USC and Miami and some of the other contenders for this guy's signature. And he'll fit in right away in the Big Ten. Ohio State's been signing, really, really good backs. I think of guys like Bo Jackson last year, but with a key, it's the size and speed combo that really excites you because like on that play right there, nothing fancy, not a ton of moves, just breaking a tackle with size and then going all the way with speed. I think that's what he brings to the table.
Running away from people 100%. Look, big day for Ohio State, and doesn't look like they'll be slowing down anytime soon in terms of the talent acquisition. We'll see if they can land any of these guys here in the near future. Keep you updated here on Group Chat Football. Hit that like and subscribe, Ohio State fans. Next up here, Oregon. Couple predictions, crystal balls for them at the wide receiver position. Jalen Lott and Caden Dixon Wyatt. So let's get into these guys.
Yeah, look, these are blue chip receivers, depending what service you use. They're going to be blue chippers on all of them, but 247 Sports particularly high on these guys. They got Jalen Lott as the number 61 overall player in the country, number 6 wide receiver. Sorry, number 6 athlete, I apologize. And then Caden Dixon Wyatt, they have him as the 59th player in the country, all positions, number 6 wide receiver. So both of these guys are highly sought after players. Let's start here with Lott from Texas. Frisco, Texas, Panther Creek, 6 foot, 170, big time athlete. Jumping stats to me are very telling when it comes to wide receivers because of their explosiveness and ability to burst out of their breaks. Talk about a 6'4" high jump, 401 300-meter hurdles, 21.7 long jump. PR, actually, before high school, he had a 21 10.5 long jump, junior Olympic championships. And then as a sophomore, I apologize. I had out-of-date metrics here. I was looking. This guy's so explosive that his stats as an 8th and 9th grader look like a good senior. So I just was selling his athleticism short. I apologize. Look at these numbers, Pete. 24 and 3-inch long jump for the Junior Olympic Championship as a sophomore. And then 6'8" high jump and a 10.9 in the 100 meters. Those are elite.
Springy. Yeah, I mean, you see it when he's running. It's springy is the word I would use.
His father had the national high jump record when he graduated, 7.4 and 3.4. So he's still struggling to catch up to dad. But you can see the springiness here. Oregon has an elite track program. I don't know if that's where he's going to be, but they certainly love athletes. And this guy, you can just see.
Look at him get downhill there. You saw that. I gotta run that one back there. That was impressive on defense. Look at this right here. It looks like a glitch right there.
Yeah, that guy probably thought he was home free. Ohio State's after him, but again, the crystal ball, the RPN, the on-3 prediction to Ohio State. You just got the Corian Moore. You've landed some of the best receivers in the country. You got Evan Stewart coming back. This is becoming just a wide receiver factory, and this guy right here should fit right in with that explosiveness. Oregon's making a major push for Jared Curtis. We talked about it on another video, right, Pete? Oregon and Georgia are going down to the wire. You want to convince Jared Curtis to come to Oregon? Get a guy like Jalen Lott to throw the ball to, or how about just shovel it to him? This is like a 1-yard pass, and in the stats, this counts as a pretty big play. Beautiful pass by the quarterback here, right, Pete?
Yeah.
What a nice touchdown pass. Man, this guy is super talented, and I love that he plays defense because he's got some grit to him too. Oregon Ducks, we'll see. Again, it's just a prediction. Ohio State recently had Lott on campus, and they're in the mix there for the Texas product, but can you imagine going into Texas, getting to Corian Moore, and then going back to Texas and getting Jalen Lott? The Lone Star State is becoming Duck territory. And who would have thought that Oregon would be recruiting with this kind of national map, 20 years ago? It's just amazing what Oregon's done from a national perspective.
And then the other receiver who have been predicted to land is Caden Dixon Wyatt from Mater Dei.
Huge physical receiver. Talk about Chris Henry at Mater Dei. Do not forget about Dixon Wyatt, 6'3", 185. Just a big, big physical type of receiver. Was the alpha dog at the Vegas All-22. Had an incredible spark rating at that event, 115.62. Again, he's over 6'2". The 4.76 laser time for a big receiver. Don't worry about that. That's more than good enough. He'll be a 4.5 guy in college. 4.07 shuttle, 39-inch vert, 40 power ball throw. Those are very, very strong numbers. Again, the 4.76 40, I wouldn't read too much into it. This guy can run. When you're jumping 39 inches, you're going to be a 4.5 guy at the minimum. And there you see the ball skills as well. I think this guy very different than Lott, but similarly explosive. And that's what you see with these Oregon receivers. DeCorian Moore, another kind of track standout, testing standout. These are just explosive leapers. Evan Stewart, another one who they have as coming back for his senior year, another really explosive track athlete. These are guys that can just get it done with both verified measurables, but then also being very productive on the field. And they bring, again, different things. Look at the contested ball ability here from Dixon Wyatt. I think that's going to add a different layer to this offense. Oregon has not had a really dominant contested catch receiver in some time. You've had quicker guys like your Troy Franklins of the world, right? Tez Johnson, and Corey Moore. We'll see what he does. I think he's going to be like a mini Jamar Chase next year. But this is a different look than what you've seen with Oregon at receiver.
So we'll wrap things up with North Carolina and Bill Belichick on the recruiting trail. Trayshawn Ruffin has flipped to the Tar Heels, a guy who was previously committed to Texas A&M, and this is now the highest rated commitment in this 2026 class for North Carolina. This is commitment number 9, and it's ranked 22nd in the composite, the 247 composite rankings. First 4-star, 6'3", 307. And when we put this tape on, you're going to see a guy who not too much movement in terms of getting upfield going on, but you see the strength, you see the size, and you understand that Bill Belichick wants big, strong defensive linemen.
Yeah, we saw the video with Bill Belichick showing his leg flexibility and strength holding up his girlfriend. So maybe he likes slider women, but when it comes to defensive linemen, really defensive players in general, front seven players, he likes size. 6'3", 307. Again, not the dynamic penetrator, right? Not that he's not that 3 technique that you're going to see in his clips, playing both sides, catching touchdowns necessarily, getting in the backfield, slipping blocks. This is a plugger. This is a guy with lower body strength. This is a guy with physicality. He's got knockback, as you see right there. That's a tackle for loss.
He's moving guys for sure,
but that's like a forceful tackle for loss. And I think, these are hard players to find. There's just not that many guys with that kind of size that want to play that physical style, to be the Vince Wilfork of this defense, like he had it so many years at New England Patriots. So this is someone who wants to play that style, who has the physical size to play that style, and is right down the road, right? Mount Olive, North Carolina, trying to keep your best players home. North Carolina actually has had
That was nice right there.
very nice. North Carolina's had some success at keeping some of these 5-star players home. You know, you think of your Travis Shaws, your Keyshawn Silver, right? The defensive tackle went to USC. Other one went to, I believe, went to Texas. But you know, those guys never materialized at UNC as far as maximizing their ability. I think with Ruffin, you are seeing his ability fitting what they're doing or what they want to do at North Carolina. So hopefully you get more out of him while he is in the hometown school, as opposed to just kind of signing him, getting the big ceremony, and then the kid transfers.
And look, this is a guy from North Carolina, but the significance of flipping a Texas A&M commit, if you're Bill Belichick, I mean, if you're a Carolina fan, I would probably say that you have to expect to land a top 300 sort of kid from the state of North Carolina if you want to have any sort of success moving forward.
No doubt. And look, these guys are hard to replace. That's like, I keep hammering that. But defensive tackles, it's hard to get these guys in the portal. It's hard to get them in recruit. It's very hard to get them in recruiting, but at least you can get them and keep them. The portal, you know, guys that are good like this, teams tend to keep them until they go pro. So you got to get these guys in high school recruiting. This is the balance between the portal and high school recruiting is going to be a hot topic forever. But I think if you look at this draft, look at all the defensive linemen going in the first round, most of those guys were homegrown blue chippers. And that's what Trayshawn Ruffin is. And I think he is a tremendous fit for what Bill Belichick is trying to do, with the ability to knock guys back, to take up 2 gaps if he needs to, the willingness to go right through somebody as opposed to trying to slip everything and potentially creating gaps. This guy can be a team player on the defensive end, allowing the linebackers to make plays, allowing other positions to be the star, so to speak, of the defense while doing the dirty work, taking up blocks and being physical and resetting the line of scrimmage, not with quickness, but with knockback power.
Yep, there it is. I mean, it's a fun tape to watch, a little bit of a throwback, so to speak, but a big commitment here for North Carolina and this 2026 class.
Yeah. By the way, we keep saying 300 plus. From what I'm hearing, he's closer to 6'3", 330 right now. So when we talk about that size being hard to find, this is what we're talking about. It is hard to find. Actually, I have a quote here from UNC. This is from the UNC camp when Ruffin was there. He said they loved him at the camp. His grades weren't up to par. Then they ended up offering him, and then ultimately now his grades are back to where they got to be. And they're pursuing him, obviously, full bore. He's now a Tar Heel.
Carolina fans, you guys have been great supporting us. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll have you covered, as we always do, with the recruiting stuff, the transfer portal stuff, which we'll heat up now in just a bit. We appreciate everyone who's been on with us live today as we continue to get this live show going back again and, keep you guys updated with everything going on all across the country in college football. This is a great time of year. We get, it's not the full thing, but we get a taste of it, right? And it's exciting to hear about a lot of these new guys on campus and recruiting. That calendar has been pushed up big time. So a lot of the top guys in the country closing in on decisions right now or have already committed. So keep it locked. Group Chat Football Live, Group Chat Sports. Hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching today.
See you tomorrow.